You didn't know how to tell me if the volume is high or low? Yes. All right, you guys ready? Bubba, you got all your notes ready?
Yep, you can see them.
You making fun of me, Jaylene? All right, here we go in 3. Bubba, you got all your notes ready?
Yep, you can see them.
Wait, who's got the volume? You making fun of me, Jaylene? All right, here we go in 3.
Nope.
Bubba, you got all your notes ready?
Yep, you can see them.
Wait, who's got?
In 5.
All right, so I have to use a new live stream service, and so that's why I'm testing it out. I have the chat room open there and over here. So, all right, here we go in 3. You ready? Jaylene, can you go close that door? See, that's why we start with this one. As soon as she closes that. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sports Medicine Broadcast, our summer traveling show. This week, our guest is Bubba Wilson. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson, and with me today, I've got a new set of students, and we'll start off with
Jaylene.
Jaylene.
Liz.
Ben. Jose.
And Jose. All right. If you want to join our conversation, it's being streamed live through YouTube on sportsmedicinebroadcast.com. So if you go to sportsmedicinebroadcast.com, it'll be right there on the homepage. You can click on that. You can join there's a little live chat there. You can chat live on there with us. You can ask questions on Twitter using hashtag DSMB, and I'll be watching that as well. And this episode will be sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/let's travel. So that's sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/let's travel. The links to all that stuff is on the website. So without much further ado, welcome back. It is the first official podcast of the year after a very busy summer. This summer I went to the Memorial Hermann Clinic, recorded all those, interviewed almost all the speakers there, and then just about turned around and went right down to South Padre and did the same thing. So me and Bubba had quite the time traveling down there and hanging out and coming back. So it was really, really good. So one of my favorite things that we did on our way down there was we streamed live some of our conversations. So we looked at the books. They're called Would You Rather, and then more Would You Rather questions. And so I have links to both of those in the show notes. So again, the links to those books are in the show notes. Lots of good questions, fun. If you're on a road trip, or if you're a teacher, you just have a class. It's a good way to get kids to think. So Bubba, I meant to get a brace for your legs so that you could walk around today and see, so we could discuss your answers. And I was going to have my elbows, but things just happened. So,
I think I've got a straight leg immobilizer in my truck. We could go get it and play around. So
I know I should have, and it would have been great if I'd done it throughout the day. And so I know Sean already answered this question because Sean's joining us from Rice. So Sean, say hello.
How we doing?
What's Sean's answer?
We got to ask him the question first.
You said he's answered it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out then.
All right. Jose, why don't you start us off with that question there?
Okay. Sean?
Yes.
Would you rather live with straight arms or straight legs? No knees or elbows?
I said I think I would rather live with straight arms.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
I'm always up and moving, and I think I could figure it out. I could figure it out with the straight arms. The legs, though, I couldn't squat down. I couldn't bend over. I mean, I could bend over, but I couldn't just move. And I'm so active and so much moving around that if I found a way to do stuff with my arms, I could figure something out.
You poor individual. You cannot do anything with straight arms. You can function with straight legs. You can't get dressed. You can't eat. You can't do anything with straight arms.
I could squat.
Okay, what does that do for you?
gets me moving, gets me walking around, gets me gets me able to do things.
You could still do things with straight legs.
I just wouldn't feel as active.
All right.
That's my energy level, though.
All right.
All right. So I said I agreed with Sean. I would go straight elbows just because, again, I'd like to move around, getting in and out of a car, that kind of thing. And neither of them is a very good choice, but you have to pick one. And so Bubba obviously said straight legs. He can deal with his arms. So then, we asked the questions of the kids and that kind of stuff. And so it's just, that was just one of the fun questions. But Jose, are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and
yeah,
go
this is
ahead
the
and
best
ask,
one of all.
Yeah, go ahead and ask Sean this one, and then we'll go from there.
Sean, would you rather find out your spouse was a murderer or had a sex change?
I think that I would have to say that I would rather find out she was a murderer.
Attaboy.
Because I feel like I could handle myself. I feel like if I found that out and then she came after me, I could probably hopefully manage it. And if not, I think I could handle it a little bit better inside than if she had a sex change. That's just me, though.
Jeremy, you want me to go ahead and sum it up?
Yep, go ahead.
You can hide the bodies. You can't hide the surgical scars.
All right, so these are just some of the questions that are in those two books. Again, would you rather or more would you rather, and the links to those are in the show notes. And the reason we're asking those now, one, because it's fun and it's just fun to see, but the whole trip down there from Houston to South Padre is 6 hours. So I'd say probably 4 hours of that we were doing this type of thing, asking these questions. And then we had people on Facebook Live interacting with us or a Periscope or whichever media source we were using. We had people interacting with us, asking the questions or giving their answers or asking more questions, and that kind of thing. And so it was really fun trip going down to South Padre. And again, that was just our trip. And my first time at South Padre Athletic Trainer Seminar, and Bubba, yours too.
Yes.
All right. So Bubba, what was the best part of your trip?
It was, I didn't know what to expect going down there. I've heard good things about the conference, and it exceeded all my minimal expectations. I went in with an open mind. They do a phenomenal job. And, no pun intended, they're on an island. And I say that because it's South Texas and it's a vast area down there. It's not the greater Houston area. It's not Dallas-Fort Worth. It's not Austin. Those guys take care of each other, and they have phenomenal support. And, they had giveaways, and it's well attended, and it's relaxed and great topics. It was a lot of fun.
All right. So the whole thing, Sean, you said you've been to SPATS.
Yes, I've been down there twice. Now, it was several years ago. I've meant to try and get down there every year since, but it always just pops up on a weekend that either the Don Joy Clinic's going on or the Cats Clinic, and everybody around here is running off and doing stuff like that, so we don't have the coverage. So, but yes, I love it. I think I would echo that completely, that the Valley Athletic Trainers Association, they do just an awesome job every time I've ever been down there, and every time that you ever see anything, they put on some great educational stuff. And it's also just a really good time because they are on an island, and you can take the family and or just go down there and have some fun.
Yeah, so I think my overall thoughts are it's the most enjoyable sports medicine clinic I've been to because, you get there, you go to the workshops, they feed you breakfast, or, you have the social, or they have all the giveaways, or you have time we were going to go rent mopeds, right? We were going to go rent mopeds and ride around the island and just goof off, but the guys were like scamming us. The sign outside said $5 an hour, and that's like, oh, well, that's for the second hour. The first hour is like $30, and you have to pay for gas. What the heck? So we decided not to do that, but it gives you a chance to do that. So we ended up going to the beach and hanging out, and went to all the CEU. We went to all the sessions, as proof is recorded and everything is recorded. So yes, we obviously were there. It's being released as we speak. So it's, I would say, the most enjoyable CEU course that I've been to. Yes.
Yeah. It's very relaxing. I will say this. I wish I could think of the speaker's name that he gave the evidence-based practice talk which is a 4-letter word in our profession right now. And I think the beauty of that talk was
Mark
Merrick. Yes. The beauty of that talk is let's not worry about evidence-based. Let's talk about practice-based evidence. And the best example I like to give is, and Sean, back me up here or correct me if I'm wrong, is contrast bath. And everybody says, well, the evidence says contrast doesn't work. Well, they've not been in an athletic training room in a time of day when you've got 30 kids coming through there and I need to buy some time. So the evidence shows that contrast bath is going to work because it's going to buy me some time to get some other kids out so I can work with those kids. Yes, it may not be the best evidence-based treatment option, but we can do that when I've got the ability to work with them. But I don't have the ability to schedule one-on-one or two-on-one patient contact for 50 minutes that we have between this class period or between treatments and taping before they go to meetings. So it does work. And that was one of the biggest take homes I got out of that is, I think we get a little locked in on the evidence-based every now and then.
Yeah, I think he also made the same point. You kind of switch that word around. It's practice-based evidence as well. So you kind of have to look at both those. It may have been him or it may have been.
It was him.
And so just saying, yes, there's evidence-based practice, but you also have to look at your practice and say, I know that this works here for me in the situation. So it's practice-based evidence as well. So.
Especially when you're just throwing you're throwing the toolbox at somebody. You're working on somebody. It's not that every single thing that you're going to do is going to be the make or break. It's the combination of everything that you do with each individual, each athlete that's going to bring them back. It's going to put them. And some of them, sometimes you can do something that has absolutely zero evidence to it, but when they get it in their head that's going to help them, that psychology, that ability for them to think that it works sometimes makes it work.
Exactly. That tingling when you're going from hot to cold or cold to hot in contrast, it does something to the mentally. Yeah, it's doing something. So therefore it's got to work. I think there's something to be said for that. This doesn't work. Evidence shows it doesn't work. Yeah, but they're buying into it. So we're going to keep doing that because it's getting them back on the field or the court and they're ready to go again.
All right, so Sean, you also did some traveling and you did some learning sessions over the summer. What was your favorite session that you went to?
We actually got really lucky this year, and we brought the fascial distortion model in. They did some training with us, the majority of our staff here, and some other people that came that were a part of it. That was probably one of my most favorite things that we did this summer. I really enjoyed that a lot. I learned a lot. It was we did the full body seminar, so it was very quick for 2 days. Got the certification in it, but we've been using that a lot here on campus and doing a lot of stuff like that. Kind of falls along with similar to the somewhat in ART or ROSTI type things, but it was more of the precursor to kind of a lot of what they did. I also went to the Houston Methodist, the one over at the Texans facility there in the bubble. That one was a lot of fun as well. Got to learn a lot, listen to Roe and Cap do some talks. Both of them did some different stuff, listen to some of their BFR stuff that they're doing down there at the Texans. Just got to learn a lot. Anytime that you get to do stuff like that, it's always a lot of fun. I also, went up to SWATA as well. Was up there, did the stuff up there, was up there for my committee meeting, and then ended up staying for some of the evidence-based stuff and things like that. There was a really good evidence-based talk there on sleep that really affected me, especially in the football setting, in the college football setting, due to the fact that my guys go, and if we have a Saturday night game, they'll wake up and in the morning go to breakfast and then go back and sleep for 4 hours. So there was kind of talks on that and how we can create a better atmosphere and better for them athletically with kind of not doing stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Gotcha. All right. So Bubba, out of the trip down and the trip back, when we were headed to SPATS together, what was the part that you enjoyed most?
They both had their moments. I think all the people online with us going down, but the Border Patrol line coming back was quite fun, actually. It was all good. I wish, I'm in the logoed Memorial Herman truck. It's not like we're actually doing any kind of smuggling. So the guy was like, U.S. residents? Yeah. Okay, go on. That was it, so that was a little bit disappointing. We were hoping at least to get the truck searched so we could have something to talk about on the podcast, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. So it was definitely quite the good time. And as we were talking about SPATS, I know, like I said, they have lots of giveaways, and I filled out my little giveaway card with Bubba's name because I was like, well, I'm going to be going over here into the interview room, so they're going to call my name, and I'm not going to win because I'm in the interview room. So I just filled it out with Bubba. So it just so happens that Bubba won twice, going with his and with mine.
Yeah.
So there's lots of prizes, lots of giveaways. Definitely recommend going to SPATS.
Must be present to win.
Yep. All right. So let's talk some about some of the future workshops that we might try and go to. Because I know while we were there at SPATS, we talked with people from Davis Mountains. I've previously talked with Sam Lee. He was the president of the Hawaii Athletic Trainers Association. So about going to FWATA. And so we'd have to kind of continue to work on that. But I know it's only in Hawaii every 8 years. So what are some of your thoughts about our future as a traveling show, Bubba?
I think Davis Mountain with Harmon involved is a good thing. Or Spats again with Harmon involved and taking his RV. That would be fun. We could the live feed of that would be quite interesting. I'm game for Hawaii. That's actually one of our spots. We're talking about going on vacation in 2018. Right. So we'll see.
All right, Sean, did you catch any of the live streams of our trips down and back?
I did not catch any of the live streams. I listened to all the stuff from down there, but I wasn't able to be involved in that aspect of it.
All right. So if you were going to, so kind of what happened is me, like I said, I had my phone mounted on Bubba's windshield, and we were just Facebook live streaming, asking these questions or talking about different topics. Some of them were athletic training related. Some of them were not. What would you want to see, or what would make you watch or interact
with that type?
Yeah.
With that type of scenario? Oh man. I mean, anything that I've seen that you guys have done is always a blast. Always a lot of fun. The things that I just like to learn stuff, something that you're going to take away, step away from something, and maybe think of something a different way, because I'm certain that I'm certain that Bubba, I'm certain everybody does something a little bit different. That's the aspect of our job that's so great, is that you can skin the cat many different ways, but talks like that, kind of feeding in onto your takes, what your thoughts are on something, on a movement, on a eval, on some sort of anything that goes with our job. But honestly, I think that probably what you were doing with the if I could or would you rather be this or this, I mean, that tells a lot about us as people, as well as practitioners, as anything that you're going to do in the profession as well as in your personal life, which then that brings into your professional life. So I think that that's a really cool and a good way to approach things, and probably something that I might use with some of my staff.
All right, Jose, we've done several of the would you rather questions here in class. How do you feel about when I ask you those questions? What are your thoughts about those?
Oh, they're just interesting on how other people answer them, their thoughts on what they choose, and well, I mean, it's just part of their opinion what they would want to do in that type of situation.
All right, does it make you feel uncomfortable, or does it help you get to know people? Or?
Yeah, just to know the people that you're around with and what they think about it.
All right, so like I said, that was a lot of fun. That was one of my favorite parts, was just the trip down, because Bubba and I have known each other for a while, but there's definitely a different aspect you get to know when you're 6 hours in a car ride, and I'm
when you
not
get to arguing about each other's answers.
Yes. Yeah, and then Bubba likes to accuse me of just thinking too much, but
You do. You overthink it.
well, you got to think through all the options if I'm going to live with one of those choices.
We're gonna put a timer on them from here on out.
We should. Okay, so if we were to go to Davis Mountains, I assume it would be kind of similar. So we would, record the sessions, interview the guests, but what were some of the other things that you would like to see happen?
I just think maybe continue with what's being done and always improve it. There'll be a point where we'll go, "Ooh, let's do this and try it." And, on a whim, that's always fun too. The whole live broadcasting on on Facebook Live and all that down was new. I'm the dinosaur. That's all new to me, but that was a lot of fun. And then having people, join in and Robbie call us and all those things. That was a lot of fun too. Just, people adding into the conversation. So we could do that in the RV. See, and we could live stream some evals and all kinds of stuff with that one.
Yeah, see, then we'd have to have Sean with us because this is how you do it on the road. Actually, on the road.
On the road,
here,
right.
Look out the window. We're actually on the road here.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
It would be like when you get to a place, and especially going to all these different areas, these different groups that you have. I mean, you're down at SPATS, the variety of people that you get. I mean, there's people from across the country that do actually come down to SPATS, or at least when I was down there,
Yes.
It's like, hey, this person's from Wisconsin and they're down here in South Texas. And so, I mean, you get a lot of variety, not just South Texas high school athletic trainers, or maybe some of the smaller JUCOs or colleges down there. I mean, there's a variety there, but especially if you start going outside of that realm, and when you're at SWATA and when you're at some of these meetings that you're getting to people in different locations that probably have a lot of different backgrounds, you can learn a lot just from what they're talking about, what they're doing, what they're putting into their daily protocols for something as simple as an ankle, or something as simple as their cleaning protocol. Everybody's got some great ideas that, popped up out here for this reason that can work down here in South Texas, or can work in because you have this same type of hydrotherapy set up, or you have the same type of a modality set up, or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's where the networking comes in. And that's where I like the round tables, where you can, you get a group of guys and you're sitting there talking about the same thing, but it's in an educational environment. One person lecturing isn't always the best way to get that information and get it out. These things are great right here. If we were talking about, hey, what do you use to clean your whirlpool and your tables? That's educational for more people than just the three of us talking about it. And, somebody's going to chime in and go, well, have you ever used this? I'm like, never heard of it. They go, well, try it. It's cheaper and it works as well. Those are all good benefits of this type setting.
Yeah, I remember me and Bubba sitting there in Beaumont working at that rodeo with Justin. And I mean, we sat and talked, probably 30, 40 minutes about ACL rehab.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difficulty in ACL rehab? It's pretty well standardized. It's pretty well set, but you can still sit, you can still learn something, and you can still talk in a lot of those situations just from a little bit of an open mind, different opinions, different viewpoints.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if you pick up one or two, good kernels of information, that's beneficial to your patients and your athletes, and that's a good thing.
All right. So this year in 2017, NATA will be here in Houston. And so I'm wanting to do something similar where, I maybe interview the speakers. I won't be able to record all the sessions. They've already said no to that. But I'm looking to interview the speakers, but kind of what you're saying is creating like a round table, a spot for maybe people to just come and sit down and have our conversation. It's just, hey, come sit over here with me.
Yeah.
Do you think something like that would work, Bubba?
I think so. And I think you could get it done with people that have already been on this podcast previously. If Sam shows up, we'll take him to eat barbecue, but come on and sit down. He'll sit down, Perry will sit down. I'm sure there's a lot of them that would probably come in and sit. Could we do it all at once? Don't know, but we could try it. I think we could get people to come in, and Sean will be there. He'll have a seat, so we could do it.
All right, so Sean, what would be how do you see that happening if we were to do something like you guys were saying, a roundtable at NATA?
I mean, me personally, and a lot of the problem with not problem, but probably the fun and the more interesting aspect of this is anytime I sit down, like with one of my strength coach buddies or one of my athletic trainer buddies or somebody like that, friends, colleagues, whatever, and we get onto a topic, it's never a planned topic.
Right.
It's always one of those things where you sit and you start talking and you talk about something, and it might be something completely personal life, non-athletic training, non-sports medicine, and it develops into the hour and a half, 2-hour conversation about lower cross syndrome and training and or developing your protocol or something like that. And that's all, every time that we do something like that, that's how it is. And that's how I run into things. And I think that that's probably the way that you gotta go about it. It can be generalized into a topic area and into a evaluation area or into a return to play area or even specifying it with sport or with a certain range of athletes. And you're going to go off onto so many different tangents and so many different, I guess, positive, sometimes positive, most of the times positive things, but you're going to get into a lot of different directions, and you're going to get a lot of different viewpoints from a lot of different people. And especially if you have a variety of people that are in the room and talking from backgrounds, talking from specialty, talking from where they're at in just in their setting. What setting are they in? Are they in a clinical setting, or are they in a high school setting, a college football setting, or a college tennis setting, something like that?
So what about this idea? If, say, I was to have a portable recorder and I gave you a portable recorder and said, here's 2 microphones, a portable recorder, stick it in your backpack, your pocket. If you find somebody, you start talking about something, just start recording it. If it ends up good, we keep it. If it ends up terrible, we trash it. But I did that with, say, you and say Bubba and, Mike McKinney up in Boston, and just a couple of different people who are doing like impromptu interviews with somebody. How do you think that would
Man
work
on the
out?
street.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd probably have to watch out for some of the stories that might get told, because if they're recorded and they don't know it, that might be a problem. But no, no, I think that would be perfect. And especially if you can get a group of people, a variety of people. It's great conversing with and getting ideas from 2 or 3 people, but when you sit there in those big round tables where there's just a large group, and there is so much knowledge and so much background and so much general understanding of what's going on and so many different ideas, and maybe that this one person has this idea, hey, I've been trying to do this for my concussions or for my return to plays or whatever. And somebody else can stand up and say, well, I tried that and it didn't work, and it didn't work because of these thoughts. And so I think it would be a great idea, honestly. I think it would be perfect. And you could probably get some of the best information, and the best information that I've probably ever learned and probably ever gotten is in those situations and those scenarios when I'm just sitting there talking shop.
Right. The exhibit hall CEUs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of like whenever you come over here, Bubba, and you may come over here just for the podcast, and then you're like, all right, I got to go, and then I say one thing, and then you're here for another 45 minutes talking.
Right.
But it's well, I used to do this or do that, and so it's the same idea, but I just need to. If I want to go that route, I need to have the equipment and the people ready so that you can say, hey, let's just record this conversation. We'll just continue, that kind of thing.
I think we could pull it off.
Then maybe. We could get a group together, say, all right, hey, at the Memorial Herman booth at 2:00, we're going to have a group of people just sitting and talking about this. I don't know if we'd be able to use a room, because then that gets into official NATA stuff. But I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure we could probably do booth access. Would be easy to do. So, not a problem on that.
Hey, there's a lot of I listen to a lot of different things and a lot of different podcasts that are on very similar avenues and do similar things, and they're in exhibit halls a lot of times, and you can make that stuff work, and the clarity is just fine, and you get a lot out of that, and especially those just impromptu things that just get brought up.
All right. So, what else you got, Bubba?
Nothing right now. We'll see where it leads.
See where it leads. All right. Do you have anything to share about what you were doing just before this?
Yeah, I was named at SWATA the District 6 representative for a new NATA initiative, really committee that's coming out called AT's Care, and it deals with the critical incident stress management. And we had our first conference call this morning, so I was hustling to try to get from the conference call over to here. Jeremy and I, we have discussed that a lot with the incident here on this campus that happened. But I think within the call this morning and looking at some of the documents, what they're trying to do is going to be very good. I think the timeline is going to be a little quicker than what I thought, which is a good thing. So hopefully we'll be up and rolling pretty quick and be assisting athletic trainers in need in the near future.
So essentially what happened, we had a kid die here, and then it was the whole dealing with the situation, and so we got to speak with Perry, who is probably the
he's
spearhead.
on it.
Yeah, he's the kind of the spearhead for this, and it's a really cool opportunity for me to share my story and encourage others, because right afterwards somebody else performed CPR and he was like, "Hey, how are you dealing with this?" So I got to talk to somebody and say, "Hey, this is what I did." And then just recently we've had somebody in our area had to perform CPR, and the kid ended up surviving within 10 days,
2 weeks,
perform CPR, and the kid ended up not surviving.
Two different incidents.
Two different incidents. And so just the fact that I've been through this and I was able to say, hey, it's really good to just to text the person or email them and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I'm praying for you. Hey, you doing okay? And Bubba, I know you went over and visited them and just kind of allowed them to share their feelings. So,
right.
Sean, have you had any dealings with catastrophic injury?
Yeah, mine wasn't really in the athletic field. When I was in college, I went through EMS school. So I went through to be able to be more familiar with what the EMS basic does. So it was my first code that ended up passing away. It was one of those where the ER nurse, because I was there at the ER, she goes, "All right, we'll go to lunch." And it was very difficult to say something like, hear that after you've been doing chest compressions for 20, 30 minutes on someone, and then just be, all right, hey, you're free to go get you some lunch right now, take a few minutes, and then be back here in a little bit. So I always wonder how somebody in the EMS side of things does it, and does it regularly. And especially when I heard about it going on, it had happened down here, and especially it happened twice in a week. I was like, that's me, and one of our doctors was actually talking about it on our last travel trip. And it's one of those where there needs to be something. There needs to be a little bit of an outlet there for you, just to be able to talk, just to be able to understand what's going on. Because the only reason I probably did was because I went back, I talked to my teacher that was my EMS instructor, and he kind of, gave us some pointers on how you deal with that kind of stuff and how you feel with that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and it's a completely different world, EMS or a ER nurse. Just, oh, okay, well, that's it. But here, like I've said so many times, I knew the kid. I also went to the funeral. I talked to the parents at the hospital. It wasn't just all right, well, I pick them up, throw them in the ambulance, do CPR, throw them in the hospital, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's a little bit more crass than what really happens, but that's essentially the relationship, whereas it's a completely different relationship here. So I'm really glad that that it's not just me and Bubba creating something for this area, but it's the NATA creating something that's nationally going to be able to take care of people that are in that situation. So
right. I think, and we've talked about this a bunch, and it's going to hold true through the end of time, and is EMS and ERs, you don't go to them or they don't come to you because you're doing well. So the individuals they're dealing with are not having a good day to begin with, and so the mindset's a little different. Death happens in an ER, in a hospital setting on a regular basis. Now they're set up to deal with that if you're having problems. EMS is set up to deal with that if they're having problems now in a lot of areas. We don't expect a 12 to 18-year-old kid to suddenly drop in our setting. And we're not set up to deal with that. And the problem, and I've said before, I don't blame anybody. We just have never thought it through. And luckily now it's being thought through. Yep. And they also don't understand how well we know that kid. We may have known that kid since he was in the 6th grade because their brother and sister are older and came through our program. So all that, or just because they were an athlete and we saw them for an injury in 7th grade, who knows? But we know we see them every day. So we don't just roll up and it's 99,999 times out of 100. We don't know that individual in the ER or on the ambulance, where we know them every day when they walk in, to your athletic training room where you're covering that game. If my math was right on the 99s, however many it was.
All right, so completely different. Sean, one of the things that I think it was Brian Colum at Texas Lutheran said was patient-based questions. What was it again? Basically, he was saying like asking your patient questions and making sure they understand what's coming next, and then basing your treatment off of that rather than like just a set protocol. Am I saying all that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So how do you perform patient-based treatments, or patient-based, like their response, their answers in your athletes?
With regard to injury, with regard to just any type of protocol that you might follow.
So you're treating an athlete. How do you get their feedback and how they're doing and how they're responding, rather than just, okay, well, it's Tuesday, 3 days after the injury, and we have to do this.
Yeah. In other words, take their feedback of how are they doing or feeling that day. How do you work it within your treatment to get them better? Do you do anything with what they tell you, or is it, shut up, suck it up, and let's go?
Oh, most definitely. With us, what we've got to do is in the college setting, obviously we're lucky that we're able to do a lot of these type of things. But I mean, we're checking with them daily. We're checking with them, kind of with us, even with regard to performance, in regard to sleep, in regard to what they did before in their practice. With football, I know one of our football coaches, he tracks, or one of our wide receivers coach, they track some of the distance that these guys are running. A lot of our guys are put on that, some not just wide receivers. But so we're tracking a lot of different stuff. Now, do we keep up with that? Are we doing that on a daily basis? Are we doing that on every single athlete? No. It's so tedious. It's you basically, if you were to try and do that, it would be a full-time job for someone. But when it comes to injury, when it comes to post-injury, we're utilizing what they're saying, we're utilizing what they're doing, and not only what we see, what they're talking to us about, but also what the coach sees. So that might be our strength coach, that might be our their position coach. We get a guy in here that he has an injury. He's the day following injury, we're finding out where he's at. We're finding out how he feels. We're finding out what his range of motion is, what his movement is, what his function is. As we go on from that, we're doing somewhat of assessments. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna functional movement screen them, and then we're going to just continue to do a special testing on them every day. It's more of, we're just seeing how they move, seeing how they ambulate, seeing how their posture is, seeing how stuff like that. Once, especially going back to knowing your kids, knowing your student athletes, you're going to know that person. You're going to know what's going on with them. You're going to be able to see, hey, they're presenting, they're walking in, they're not ambulating correctly, they're having a limp, they're having a change in gait. I know my 103, 105 guys, whatever, I can look at each one of them and I can see that there's a little bit of difference between today and what their norm is, what their standard is. If they tell me that they didn't sleep the night before, I mean, I'm not going to say, okay, all right, that's fine. Or if they couldn't, or if they can't do something, if they tell me they can't do something, I'm not just going to shut them down and say, all right, that's fine. We're just going to wait a little bit longer. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to find out why they're having the problem, what the issue is, where they think that they're going, what they think they can do. I'll even open it up sometimes to, okay, out of these things, what do you think will be better for you? So what can I work with you with? If I can't get you out there and get you practicing, can I at least get you out there and get you jogging around, moving the limb, moving the extremity, whatever, a little bit? Can I get you running some routes? Can I get you doing some bag drills? Well, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I have a shift, or I feel like I've got too much swelling, or I feel like I'm too tight. Then I know that, hey, you know what? I need to put them on a bike, or I need to get them into just do treatment. I just need to do a lot of treatment. I need to get my hands on them, work with them, possibly massage, possibly FDM like I was talking about, possibly game ready, and possibly whatever that it is, taping them to make them feel a little bit better. So every single day, every single injury that we see, we're taking a lot of different things. Obviously what we see. And the good thing is that we have a lot more eyes to be able to watch somebody and say, hey, so-and-so's out there. He's kind of released to practice. He's released as tolerated, but he doesn't look good. He looks like he's stiff. He looks like he's immobile. He looks like he's having some problems. Let's pull him back a little bit, and and then he might tell you, oh, no, I'm fine. Those are your tough kids. And then you got the kid that's out there, looks just fine, bending over, everything, and he says, oh, I'm really hurting. So you've got to take everything, obviously, with that grain of salt. But, yeah, we are taking what they're telling us along with some of that actual data that we can pull from devices, from asking them sleeping hours, asking them their sleeping regimen, taking stuff from FMSing or from FMS testing or whatever that we might be doing.
Go ahead. You got anything else, Jeremy?
No, I mean, that was just one of the things that I remember learning there, was making sure you ask those questions and check with them and don't get stuck in a protocol. And I know Bubba presented on that as you were discussing ACL stuff with him earlier, that it's a, can you do this task rather than, are you at this time? And so it's just one of those things you just keep learning, and you have to learn it several times before you get it. And again, hearing it this summer is a really good reminder to make sure you ask those questions and find out and treat them like an individual, like you just said, Sean. So not like it's just, oh, well, here's another ACL. No, this is a ninth grade boy that's overweight that is trying to get back to playing basketball, rather than another ACL. And so that kind of thing, just treating them differently, individually, asking them questions and finding out answers as pertaining to them. So
I've never seen two injuries that are the exact same. Nothing presents. I mean, you'll see things over through your career that are like something pops up and it makes you remember one that you had, something weird that you had several months ago or several years ago even. But if you start going off of timetables, and if you start going off of strictly, well, this is what the protocol says, this is Dr. So-and-so, and this is what his protocol for this ACL injury is, you're not doing good for the athlete, because you're not following what their body's telling them. They might be slower, they might be faster. If it's their second ACL, they probably haven't figured out, or they didn't do it right in the first place, and they need to do it better. That they need to go through the things better this time. It can be a variety of different options there, but all dependent on the person. We are constantly talking to our guys and asking them how they feel and asking them how they progress. And I never was like this before, but we will honestly go ahead and ask them and just be like, okay, what do you feel like you can do today? What do you feel like how can we progress in some of these? Not saying that I'm going to let them dictate their treatment, because that by no means happens, and that's one of our big rules here that athletes don't. But what can I, out of what you've done, do we think that this is progressing? Do you think that you're getting better at this? And do you think that we can move on and get better and move farther?
Right. You give them a little ownership. I think one of the benefits of ESPN with all the injury stuff, and I've used this several times, and not saying that I'm the greatest at this, but is dealing with players and coaches and parents, is there's a reason ESPN will tell you so-and-so's out 4 to 8 weeks. That's because everybody heals differently. And so we need to remember that, everybody wants to come back from an ACL at 6 months like Adrian Peterson. There's only one Adrian Peterson, and he did that all day long, 6 days a week to get back. And so, it's remember, well, and the other problem is, well, the internet says, that's a whole different podcast all to itself. But, to tell them, look, we know on average you're going to come back from an MCL, let's just say, from 4 to, depending on the severity of the grade, from 4 to 8 weeks, and maybe longer, but let's just say it's a grade 2, okay, 4 to 8 weeks. All right, that's how it works. It may be a little shorter, it may be a little longer, but that's the way it goes. And so I always tell them, I can't tell you that on October the 13th at 3:00 you're perfectly healed. We don't know that. And if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. No offense. People would be lined up around the block to pay me a lot of money. So I think that's one of the benefits. And one of the things we've always got to take out of this is everybody, you said it earlier, everybody heals a little differently. Some work a little harder. Some are going to push the envelope. You're going, wow, I didn't expect that to be as good as it was. And we've got to take that into consideration.
All right, Bubba. So you said people will be lined up around the block to pay you money.
Right.
So here's my next question. Would you rather be rich and ugly? I mean, like dog ugly. Or would you be poor and good looking?
Rich and dog ugly. I can buy plastic surgery.
No. That's changing it. See?
Nope.
No, you have to stay dog ugly.
Okay. Rich and ugly. That's all. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Sean?
Oh.
But I can buy plastic surgery.
I don't know. I would probably say rich and ugly. Might as well. You'd be able to do whatever you want to, even if you're ugly. I mean, whatever. I can sit in a boat in Galveston and fish and be ugly.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeremy?
Well, I mean, I know I'm already much better looking than you, Bubba, but
right.
Um,
that's not saying much.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't say Sean, because I don't know, that's debatable. He may be better looking. I think it's pretty easy because you end up gonna be, when you're 80, your skin's gonna be kind of sagging anyway. So I think I'd rather be rich and dog ugly. The thing though is because I love my wife, and I'm just wondering if I was very unattractive, would I have been able to talk to her? So would any girl ever want to meet me and hang out with me other than the fact that I had a lot of money? You always have that thought there. If knowing that you're just dog ugly, is somebody really liking you for you or just for what you can do?
How long can you sleep on somebody's couch as a mooch if you're real good looking but you're dead broke? So.
You could become good looking, get a very high paying modeling job, and become very rich, I guess.
No, see, that's changing the thing though. See,
would you rather manipulate the whole question or
manipulate the system? Always manipulate the system.
That's right.
I'm pretty good at that. So, all right. Well, those are the type of questions that we ask on our summer fun traveling stuff. And hopefully we'll be doing some more conferences. Maybe now, Sean, we can incorporate you or like I said, if you're going to one, you can just take your little recording device and say, hey, can I record your session? Oh, good. And then can I talk to you about it afterwards or whatever, or if we're going to the same events, then we tag team and you do some of the interviews like you've heard us do before in the past. So I'm thinking Bubba and I have a future as long as he's working for Memorial Hermann and they'll pay for the truck and then we can drive just about wherever. Can't drive to Hawaii, but we can get close.
Yeah, that's right. We can get to San Diego.
Yeah, we can get to San Diego. Los Angeles, I think, is where they usually fly out of to go to Hawaii. So
It would be a long swim.
I know. It
Okay.
would. It's a long whatever. It doesn't matter.
Get a kayak, maybe.
That's a long
Rent-
kayak,
Rent
though,
one
too.
of those.
then we'd have to bring you. We could sit in the back. You can kayak us.
You could tow us, yeah.
Or you can paddle us. You get all your moving around, but you got to do it with straight arms, though. Can you kayak with straight arms?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do that. That might be a little difficult.
I mean,
well,
you'd have
I can figure it out. You just have to have a lot of scapular control.
you just wouldn't be very efficient, so it'd take us a lot longer to get there.
Yeah.
And if you had straight legs, see, you could still kayak and be able to bend your arms to do it more efficiently.
I'm still going with straight arms though. That's my for sure final.
All right. Well, this is the Sports Medicine Broadcast. This one's sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/let's travel. Sean, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you, find out more of what you're doing or some of the things that you've learned?
My email address, str3@rice.edu. That's my email. I'm on Twitter at @SeanReedy_ATC.
Sean Reedy.
Yes, correct.
So I've been saying it wrong. It's not Sean Reddy.
Well, you can say it however you want to. It is ready. It's spelled ready, but it is READY, or so it's supposed to be Reedy. But everybody's called me ever since I played high school football, and the announcer was the friend of the family. They still called me Sean Reddy, so I've pretty well gotten used to it.
All right. So Sean Reedy from Rice. Bubba, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
Hang on, because if I'm looking at this correctly, he doesn't have a beard in this one.
And where?
In his picture on Twitter.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
That's a long time ago. That's for sure. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it?
I guess. I don't know. Wow.
Because that hasn't been like that for a while, and I even trimmed it up recently too. So
yeah, last week when we talked, man, that thing was wild.
He's got a tie on.
Yeah, that only happens on flight trips, so you can't expect that too often.
Best way to get a hold of me. Let's see. I don't even know my own Twitter address.
ATC LAT Bubba.
There you go. That's the best way. ATC LAT Bubba.
How's that the best way if you don't even know the address?
Well, I can at least get you to help me from there.
All right. Well, I am Jeremy, host of the Sports Medicine Broadcast. SportsMedicineBroadcast.com has all the ways to get a hold of me. There'll be links to Bubba, to Sean on there as well for this episode, which is, again, Let's Travel, because we've been talking about our summer traveling and some of our future continuing education opportunities. So thanks for joining us. For Jeremy, for Sean Reedy, Bubba Wilson, that's a wrap. All right. Good job, guys.
First one's in the books.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet, Sean. We'll talk to you.
All right. We'll be seeing you. Have fun at the rodeo tonight. Tell Doug hello.
I'll do it.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.